everybody, and welcome to Toadstool Tarot. My name is Robin. If you haven't been here before, if you have, welcome back. First thing first, to address the elephant, the so-called elephant in the room. This is the month of November, the month to give thanks and be thankful for what we have and what we're given. And it started off maybe not so much feeling thankful, depending on your point of view. We had an election, and when I woke up the day after the election, I wasn't feeling particularly thankful. Just feeling actually rather down and depressed. And I went outside and sat in nature, and that always helps a little bit. Sat on my favorite park bench. And next to my park bench, there's a small playground, which doesn't amount to very much. There's a sort of a jungle gym kind of climbing wall shaped like a little dragon, and a slide that's not very slippery. And there were some preschoolers that marched in with their teacher and made their way, climbing up the wall, sliding down the slide, climbing up the wall, sliding down the slide, and reminded me a little bit of us here now, taking 2 steps forward, taking 2 steps back, over and over. It can be a little bit daunting, can make you a little bit despondent. And I didn't feel particularly cheerful or joyful. And then I noticed the teacher of the preschoolers drew out of her bag a bottle of bubble stuff and a bubble wand, and blew bubbles into the air for the kids. And it did something magical. It lifted me out of my depression. As I saw the bubbles, different sizes, different numbers, on their way, floating out and over the playground, over the sidewalk, interrupting pedestrians busily on their way, out into the street, across the street, and rising on the air currents, up the side of the buildings and over the buildings. It was really inspiring. And I thought, how funny that something so silly and so simple could lift my spirits. So I decided to adopt a little sort of a Thanksgiving ritual, if you want to call it that, this month. And I invite you to join me in becoming what I'm referring to as a bubble warrior. You want to go out and get yourself a little jar of bubble liquid with a wand in it. And blow some bubbles and lift some spirits. We're all only here for a little while. And while we float about, we do our thing, and then we pop, and we're gone. But while we're here, why not make the most of it and lift other people up rather than trying to pull them down? So let me say hi to a couple people in the chat. Hello, Donna Riedler, and hello, SCB. So I did readings for the scary month of Halloween last month, and I probably will do some readings for Thanksgiving this month around gratitude and gratefulness. Not sure if I'm going to get to them today or not, but probably in weeks to come, unless I have room at the end of today's thing. I'm going to share one more thing that I'm grateful for, thankful for. I got my winter catalog from Simpson and Vale. If any of you like coffee or tea, it's quality teas and coffee since 1929. Simpson and Vale puts out a number of lovely catalogs throughout the year. But I sort of look forward to their winter catalog. And you can Google them and send off for it. But I believe all this information is online on their website anyway, if you'd like to order some winter teas, or they also sell some fancy teacups and teapots. And my particular favorite tea is black violet tea, which is a black tea flavored with violet flowers. And it sort of smells like, those candy violet pastilles. But anyway, if you're looking for holiday gift ideas, they sell tea in little packets. They sell it loose. I think they may sell some in bags, but mostly I think it's loose tea because they're all blended and mixed. And they do sell them in tins too. I really like their tins that you can store tea in for a long time. So definitely check out Simpson and Vale. And they don't sponsor me, but I enjoy them. And tea can be a comforting thing. So order some Simpson and Vale tea and comfort yourself. Now, my topic for today is tarot too woo for you? And I think this actually is directed more at people out there that might be viewing later on than the ones that are here with me live. It's more for people that are not already tarot enthusiasts, because tarot for some people has a kind of a stigma about it. This seems to scare people off. Some people are superstitious about it. Some people think it's evil. People have all kinds of crazy wackadoo ideas, has been proven by the election. But I'd like to introduce you to thinking about tarot in a different way. Or if you're new to tarot and you'd like to dip in, let me tell you a little bit about it. So tarot is 78 cards, but it's divided into the major and minor arcana. And the major arcana, or the major mysteries they're called, are the first 22 cards. And that's what we're dealing with here today. I want you to, if you want to participate, take your tarot deck and pull out the majors and set the minors aside. The minors might help you go in depth with day-to-day things that concern or interest you. But the majors really are more than cards. It's a book. It's a book of instructions. It's a book of questions, messages, and reminders. It's called The Fool's Journey. And it really is 22 lessons in life to be learned. And the wise man is one who goes on a fool's journey and learns the lessons of the journey. By the end of that journey, then pauses to consider what he's learned, and then goes around again. And each time he makes that cycle round, he learns more and more and becomes wiser and wiser. So I want you to think about that. And I also, you know, it's also, besides a book that can be shuffled a million ways and come up with different sequences of cards, you can lay out spreads, and the various relationships between cards in a spread can occur in a million different ways. So it's a book of many books that can give you or tell you many different stories, or provide you with many different answers, or ask you different questions, or remind you of different things. And it's really, what it really is, it's like the old saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words, because it's a book of pictures. We've got 22 pictures, and they represent archetypes of human experience. And I absolutely am thankful for the tarot, and particularly for the major arcana. It's a guidepost in my life. It's a tool that I can use whenever I'm overwhelmed or depressed, don't know where to turn, don't know what to do, feel like I need a little guidance, or need to be pulled out of where my head is at. I look at the tarot, I pull a card, and it sort of has a little conversation with me and asks me questions that I can sit and look at and self-analyze, find my place. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you, I'm going to actually walk through the 22 for those who don't know tarot, to give them a little bit of an idea about what the pictures might represent. And you, in using tarot, will find your own meanings for the cards. What I'm going to use is my tarot that I designed, called the Open Face Tarot. It's available at makeplayingcards.com. You can Google Open Face Tarot and find it. I'm not here to sell it. I'm just using it as a tool. It's more meaningful to me because when I started studying tarot, I wanted to create a tool that worked specifically for me. And I wanted to explore those 22 archetypes. And after looking at a bunch of different decks, I thought, gee, maybe, as an artist, I might like to try to create my own tarot deck. So I pulled up various ones on my laptop screen to study from and draw from each card from different decks to see what symbols seem to be in common. And then I gave it my own touch. And I doodled, these drawings in one day. That's pretty, I don't know if anybody's ever created a tarot deck in shorter time than me, for 4 hours. But that's kind of why it's simplistic. My drawings my drawings tend to be on the minimal side, just simple line drawings. And I encourage everyone who has discovered tarot and is studying it to take some time at some point and create their own deck, because I think you really learn a lot about the tarot and the archetypes and the symbols by creating your own deck. And a lot of it is in thought and editing. It's not so much about your artistic ability. It's You look at the symbols, the images, and you think, what do I need to add or what do I need to leave out? What is enough to convey the message without being too confusing? Now, I have a couple different versions of this deck. This is actually tarot size card, as a standard card size. But I usually use these mini ones, a mini deck that I have. I also have a version of the deck with the names on the cards, and this one without. So this is not going to be particularly helpful to newcomers trying to memorize the names of the cards because it's unlabeled. And I could have pulled that one out to use for you, but I kind of wanted to show or illustrate what's in the imagery in the cards, and also to leave it open for you to find your own key words for each card. Because if you have a name or a label on a card, sometimes your mind goes right to that, and it has certain associations that kind of weed or keep others out. And I want this to be an open processing experience, because a lot of the reasons that people are scared off from tarot is this idea of mystery or the unknown or devil's cards, or I mean, that can be part of the fun of tarot. But like I said, tarot is kind of a book in the guise of a game. And I think what makes it a game, or what makes it playful, is having your book on cards that you shuffle, and the combinations come out playfully different each time. And also the idea or notion of it again as a game is more in the realm of play than study, as a book might be. So think about that. I want you also, in the naming of this deck, I have an open-faced figure throughout the cards. I want you to keep an open face, an open mind, an open heart, and always have a sense of awe. I want to remind myself at the end here to repeat that. I think that's important. So the first card is actually an extra card in the deck. It's a 23rd card, but it's more like a cover card. You don't really need to incorporate it. I like to incorporate it. It's what I might use as a significator card. It sort of depicts me, the reader, the viewer, the questioner, and it says, who are you? Are you coming into this with an inquisitive, open mind, an open heart, with a sense of awe? Are you open to what questions or answers these cards might pose to you? So sometimes it's good to keep coming back to that. Like, we can look at questions and answers, but sometimes we need to sit and think, who am I? Or who am I now? Because we change over time as we learn lessons. More bubbles. My seltzer. So this is a good card, I think, to include in the deck. It's two-sided, and the image is the image on the back of the card, but it's on both sides here. Sort of like you can never really escape yourself. You come face to face with yourself no matter where you go. But sometimes we forget and need to sort of sit and look at that and figure out who we are and where we're going and what we're doing. So the first card in the deck is the Fool. sort of stepping off into the void. Is there something to step onto, into? We're taking our whole bag of tricks or all our baggage, may not be very much. We're born naked. We're taking that with us as we step off into the world and explore. We're adventurous. We're full of wonder, like babies. We learn to walk and we learn where to step and where not to step. And sometimes we take a risk and sometimes we don't. But you might sort of want to ask yourself, am I ready for something new? Am I ready to take a risk? Am I ready to explore something? I just want to check with the chat here. We have such a short time here. Why do so many choose to spend that time making others miserable? I love tea, and I've never heard of them, Simpson and Vale. I live for tea. I used to be scared of tarot till I looked deeper into it. No more evil than a Rorschach test. Let's see. I wasn't feeling up to working with my cards for the last few days, but I've been hanging out with my online tarot peeps, and the energy has been so lovely, and I'm starting to feel better about things. Welcome, Psychic Awakens Tarot. Okay. That card would be perfect as a querent card for reading in the Lenormand way by shuffling it into the deck, then looking at the cards that are before and after the querent. I do that sometimes, and I often do 3-card spreads or 5-card spreads, and I lay them out and read them in an open, interpretive manner, and very much like Lenormand cards. See what their relationship is like to one another and where they fall in line, so to speak. So the next card is the Magician. Now, the Magician has all the tools it needs in order to manifest what it wants to manifest. So this one, you might stop and question yourself, do I have all the tools I need? How do I go about getting the tools I need? Maybe all the tools you need are within you. Maybe you don't need any additional tools. And you use what you have and what you've learned in order to make things happen. We had a vote. We voted. We made things happen. We only had the one vote. It was as powerful as it was. But, here we are. But everything you do every day, you go out into the world, you make things happen, or you stay home and you make things happen. You use the tools around you to make things happen. That's the Magician. The next card is the High Priestess. And so this again is a little crudely drawn. That spear in her hand is meant to be a crystal ball, and that scroll is meant to be a scroll with, wise writings on it, wisdom handed down. The High Priestess is sort of a studier. She sort of goes within at night under the moon into places where things aren't always shining brightly. The world within. Meditate, sit quietly, consider things that we don't generally think about. Take the time to pause and sort of push other things out other than what your mind is focusing on, and what kind of things you might draw to help you with that. Um, I see Beth has just shown up. Aspasia Rising. Card number 4 is the Empress. The Empress is sort of the mother figure, the birth figure, the creative figure. The one we talked about, the magician manifesting, making things happen. The Empress gives birth to things. But I generally think of the keyword nurture for this card, or comfort. Generally, she's pregnant and sitting in a very large, comfortable, cushy, loungy chair. She's in this position of comfort and comforting herself and comforting, nurturing what is within that will one day give birth, whether it's a human being or an idea, a plan, something needing to be done, needing to be brought into existence. So when I get this card, I often, there's 2 cards in this deck that do this to me. When I get this card, I think, are you comforting yourself? Maybe give yourself a hug, you know? Are you feeling okay? Are you feeling mothered? You know, can you mother yourself? Give yourself that love to sort of help make you feel better. Help make it all feel all right. You know, put a Band-Aid on that boo-boo. Hello, Cosmic Orphan. So next card, number, did I say 4? That was 3. This is 4. I don't know. I lose track of the numbers. I think this is 4. It's the Emperor. So the Emperor follows the Empress. And this one, for me, is, I often think of stubborn in this card, or set in your ways. You need to have a certain confidence in what you're doing in order to maintain your power, your expertise, your control, such as it is. If you feel like you need to be in control of things, in as much as you're able, you're the Emperor. But also, control can have you set in your ways. It can make you stubborn. So when I get this card, I often think, this comes up for me a lot, and I tend to be sort of on the stubborn side. When I get an idea that I believe in, I really cling to it and hold on to it, and I'm not often easy to part with it. So sometimes that keeps you from progressing. So you look at the Emperor and think, okay, you're seated on your throne, you're sort of almost ready to get up and go, but not quite yet. And what's keeping you there? Is it stubbornness? Are you too set in your ways? Are you too close-minded? Are you not thinking enough about where you can go, what you can do, how to go about doing it? So, Next card, number 5, I believe, is the Hierophant. This is a difficult card for me, but it's sort of the teacher and the student. When I get this card, I think, has anybody taught you anything, or have you learned anything lately, or have you taught somebody else something that they can use and build on? And it also represents society and organizations and schooling and sort of regimented types of things. All the rules and regulations are from the Hierophant. Government. This is a sort of government card in a way, because it's like all the stuff that, we have to follow and obey, as opposed to the High Priestess, whose rules she's drawn from her intuition or from nature. And the Hierophant sets them into law and governs them. So, or our churches, you go to church and the guy up front tells you how to behave, and you take that with you, or you don't. You reject it. You take the learnings, the teachings, and figure out what you can use and what won't work for you, and you go your way. Traditions are passed down through generations, says Donna. She also says the Emperor can sometimes be the my way or the highway card. Yeah. For me, it's the stubborn card. Next card, number 6, is the Lovers. Now, the Lovers is not always about romantic love, but it kind of makes me pause and say, or gives me encouragement that there's somebody or something you can partner with and work well with it. Or ask me, can you partner at this time with somebody or something? Can your higher self partner with your earthly self in order to arrive at a solution that helps work for you? So I think, this is a card to sort of sit and think about, when you meet someone, is this somebody I can work with? I might marry this person, or they might become a business partner, or a trusted friend, or a counselor, or an advisor. Is this somebody that I can have fall into a partnership with? It might also be a way of sort of confronting another side of you in the mirror and saying, do I love myself? Can I fall in love with myself? Can I embrace myself? Can I partner with myself to work towards something positive? Next card, number 7, is the Chariot. Now, the Chariot for me is about locomotion, movement. You're in a vehicle. Even if the vehicle's only your own body moving forwards, we still have 2 legs, 2 arms, left and right, 2 directions we can go in. We really want to move forward. Sometimes we move forward, sometimes we move backwards, sometimes we stand still. When I created this, I had made a car that doesn't have anything driving it other than gravity. And the wheels are wonky. So it's like, are we moving up? Are we moving down? Are we moving left? Are we moving right? For me, this card is more than anything about guidance and choosing the right direction. I mean, we all want to move forward in a way, and we don't really want to move backwards unless there's danger ahead. We rarely want to turn around and go back. We want to go ahead, but we don't always want to go in a straight line. Straight line's not always the shortest way. It really depends on the situation and the circumstance. And so we kind of need a little help trying to decide, where do I go from here and which way? So for me, this is kind of a direction card and makes me pause and think, okay, shall I make a left turn or a right turn? Which of these choices should I choose? Which one's going to get me where I need to go? Next card. This was the other card that I said is sort of a comfort card. It's the strength card. And the strength card is kind of like Mama Lion or Mama Bear's strength. You know, it's a comfort card. It's a security card. It's a card that also makes you pull from inner strength. I remember I'm not a brave person, you know, but when I had pets, I had little dogs, you know, one at a time. And when I had a little dog, I felt very protective. And I wonder if it's like a mother feels about a child, that you would jump in front of that child for anything to protect them. You know, that sort of protection. But also, what will you do to protect yourself, or that aspect of that inner child of yourself? What will you do to protect that? Because that needs to grow, and it needs nurturing, it needs perseverance, it needs protection. Sometimes it needs comforting. So yeah, that's kind of the way I look at the strength card, that the strength, comfort kind of provides the strength. Hello, if I don't remember if I said hello to Cosmic Orphan, but also hello to Indigo Jaguar. Next card, number 9, is the Hermit. Now, the Hermit is in search, in solo search, very similar in a way to the High Priestess, but maybe not so much going inward as investigating things in the world around it by focusing down a solo path and asking yourself, what am I looking for? What do I need to find? How can I light my way in terms of securing what I need? The Hermit really is a time to kind of separate yourself from everyone else. Again, you know, we're born into this world alone. We leave it alone. And this is, you know, this is us. This is what we have with us. This is sometimes being around family and friends and civilization, society. Sometimes we need to go off alone and think about things, think about our place or position in it, what we can do to help us, what serves us and what doesn't. Sometimes we need to ask ourselves questions using the Hermit card. Card number 10, the Wheel of Fortune. To me, this is maybe the most useless card in the major arcana, because it's a card over which we don't seem to have control. I mean, we kind of do, but we kind of don't. In my vision here, it's like, again, it's sort of a risk card, like the Fool. We spin the wheel and we take our chances, but the way the wheel spins only has so many options. Here we've got 2 options. You're either king of the world on top, or you're the fallen man at the bottom. Pardon me a minute. I need more water. My throat's getting tickly. my card go here? So it can be a little bit about karma too. Sometimes the experiences that we go through, that we learn lessons from, help guide us in a way where the wheel tends more to fall in our favor. Sometimes, no matter what we do, we fall out of favor with the wheel. It's chance, it's fate, it is what it is. And like I said, for me, it's kind of a useless card because it's something over which we have no control other than to accept accept the consequences. So things happen to us and we can either, find joy in them or become despondent. But basically, we need to keep going, keep spinning the wheel. Yeah. Next, number 11 is the Justice card. Justice is usually seated on a throne and wielding the sword of justice. But for me, it's about balancing things out, finding some sort of equity in your decision-making process. Hello, Kristen Louise. Thanks for joining us. And so it's kind of weighing things out on the scale. And in my card, it's doing that very cautiously and carefully, going on tiptoe. You don't want to upset the balance of the scales. You want to keep things on an even, equal keel. You don't want to be mistreated and you don't want to mistreat anyone. You always want things to feel fair to everyone, even though the wheel may suggest, no, the world's not always fair. But you, as a human being moving through this world, can be fair, and you can express that to the world, to the cosmos, to the order of things. Excuse me. I've always got the sniffles. The water goes in, the water comes out, huh? Keeping hydrated. If you came in late, I suggest you go back and watch from the beginning because there's a lesson there for you or a suggestion. Next card, number 12, is the Hanged Man. Now, this one is sort of like keeping us in suspension, pausing action. Sometimes it's no more than you get this card, should I, shouldn't I? Sleep on it. Maybe things will look better in the morning. Or maybe it's just like you're rushing in too fast. Just take a pause, take a breath, and think about what you're doing and where you're going. And if you hang upside down or stand on your head and all the blood rushes to your head, you might have a new insight or a new perspective on things. So, ask yourself, are you where you need to be right now? And rather than rushing ahead, consider what that next step might be. Next card is a scary one to most, and one of the reasons that tarot has stigma about it, people are afraid of the Death card, number 13, which usually isn't numbered. I'm trying to remember, is this the card that's numbered but not named, or named but not numbered? Doesn't matter, because in my deck you don't have either, or in this version of the deck. No numbering, no labels. So it's just visual association. Again, tarot, is the tarot too woo for you? Maybe not in my deck. Maybe not in this deck. Maybe not in any deck where you sit down and really just look at the images of the major arcana. Because, again, I'm pushing this as all about reading images. When I first picked up tarot, I ran immediately to the Little White Book, which I found totally confusing and worthless. And thought, well, I'm not doing this right because this doesn't make any sense. And I shoved it aside. Every few years, I'd come back and look at it again. It still never made sense. And then at one point, there was one line, I think, even in the Little White Book, which is excerpted from, I think it's called The Key to Tarot or The Way of Tarot or something by A.E. Waite. There's a line that said that tarot is all about the images or all about the symbols or something. And so I thought, well, if it's all about the images and the symbols, what do I need the text for? If the text is creating problems for me, just toss it aside. So I did. And then I really got into studying tarot and finding key words that the cards meant for me, and then comparing them online to what other tarot students and scholars were saying, and finding sort of a common ground or a Rosetta Stone of key words that would work for me. So anyway, the death card. I'm not sure that this is really the best depiction of death, even though it's sort of like very common that you've got a skeleton or a horrific figure riding through as bodies are falling all around it. But it's the idea of was somebody commenting about my flag and my card. Does it have to do with the flag of Sweden or something? I have an X on the card. The X for me is symbolic of wiping things out, erasing them, nullifying. That's why I have an X. On the actual card, it's a rose. But for me, something to symbolize non-existence or death or changes is an X. That's why I have that on the flag, if you want to know. And the death card is about transitions or changes. It's like we go from birth to death, but depending on your belief systems, like mine, death is just another door to pass through. We just slip sideways into another dimension and keep on going. But here on this earthly existence, we have to deal with changes in our life, and we have to transform. So we use this death card to ask ourselves, can you move on? Can you let go? Can you roll with the punches? Can you make the changes? Maybe it's time right now to do that. Ask yourself if the time is right for a change. Next card is Temperance, number 14. Temperance card is a mixing card, a blending card. You might say potion making. It could be the cook of the cosmos, blending all the right ingredients for what you need. Could refer back to the Magician card. Which tool do you need? Do you need a combination of tools? Do you need to blend efforts in order to make something work for you? Do you need to make yourself up a little cocktail or a drink of some sort, a juice, to keep you going, sort you out? Something, yeah. Heather says the bartender of the cosmos. Yeah. And may ask you to combine things. Again, a lot of the decision making or helping in tarot is posing questions about how to come back to center, how to ground yourself, how to find the middle ground, how to progress the best and the easiest without difficulties in life. And sometimes the best way is to, this is a bad example. I was going to say not take the broccoli or the ice cream, but blend them together. But that sounds really nasty. But to find a way to make things work together. Card number 15 is the devil. And the devil to me has always been the key word, temptation. Temptation is what tempts you, and what tempts you in a way that is not to your best advantage, what doesn't serve you, what draws you in a negative direction. Because it's not just about choice, it's about the temptation to make wrong choices or to make choices that really don't work for you, maybe drag you down or take you in the wrong direction. But you may be sitting or standing in the palm of the devil, but it's not beyond your power to take control again and walk out of the scene and find the right way to go. Things have gotten dark in the last few cards, and sort of finalized with this one in a way. Number 16, the Tower card. The Tower card, again, like death, is changes, but it's immediate, surprising, unexpected change. Unexpected change is a good pair of keywords for this card. It's stuff that you have to deal with, whether you want to or not, and usually you're not ready for it. But then you need to kind of pick yourself up and move on once it happens. You have to find a way to deal with unexpected changes. And sometimes I used to think of this as the victim card. It doesn't need to be. Sometimes things are stagnant and need to be shaken up. So I also, another key word for me is shake things up. So it's like sometimes things will, people or situations will shake things up in your life. Sometimes you need to be the one to do the shaking. Maybe you have a friend that's like really having some difficulty that you need to take them by the shoulders and give them a good shake. Wake up, look what you're doing. I don't know why these ideas about the election keep coming back to me as I go through these cards. Next card, not my favorite card in my deck, because as I said, I doodled these in 4 hours, and I think I could have done a better job with this drawing. I'm not real. There are a couple that I'm not totally pleased with, but they're not masterpieces. They serve a certain need. They convey something. This is the Star card. And the Star card, number 17. 17? Yeah. So, Star card number 17 is often thought of as hope, but I think of it as guidance. And how I came to terms with that is if you go back to times when men traveled in ships at sea and lost their way, they could look up at the stars, and one star in particular, a guiding star, to help them find their way. But often the star is inspiration too. So this is kind of hope, guidance, and inspiration. You make a wish upon a star. What do you wish for? Wish for inspiration. You wish for something that will inspire you to do what you need to do. Now, the pouring of the liquid onto the earth and water has always kind of confused me. Maybe it's a focus on remaining fluid. Maybe it's when you have too much of something, you need to let something go. Maybe it's about replenishing the things that are given to you. Maybe it's time to give yourself a little bath. Give yourself a bath, clean away all the stuff that's clung to you that's maybe not helping, and find some new inspiration to move on. Next, we have the Moon card. Now, the Moon card is following a path that's a winding path. And again, you're sort of coming from a direction. The bottom of the base of the card, we have water. And I don't have a crustacean in my card. I kind of feel like it's sort of common sense or common knowledge that we all we all evolved out of something that crawled out of the water and then headed down a path. Now, on both sides of the path, we have these two dogs. One is bearing its fangs and the other's not. So we have domesticity and wildness. So it's sort of like something that you think about and take control of, that you are reasoning. You're a reasoning animal, but you also have a wild side. Which do you give in to? You know, as you're winding your way down the path, do you let your temper take over, or do you control your temper and help others and help yourself? Actually, I have a 2:00 appointment and it's just after 1. I usually only go an hour. I've only got 3 cards left, so I'm going to move on quickly. Next card is the Sun. Oh, another thing about the Moon card is the moon is something that doesn't fully enlighten us. We don't see very much by the light of the moon. So look for the dark side of things that remain hidden or mysterious. Go searching there to find answers. The Sun card is enlightenment, joy, celebration. You come out into a sunny day. Most people are happy on a sunny day when they see a sunny day and they want to go out and play. They want to go places and do things and move forwards. So, you see here our vehicle has closed eyes, but we ride it with open eyes and we take the reins and lead it where we want to go, where we've been enlightened and led to pursue. Hello, Eric, and welcome. Next to last card, Judgment. Now, this is different than Justice. Justice is sort of like trying to be fair in making decisions as they come. Judgment is kind of like, it's a little bit of a wake-up call where you rise up and you reflect on the judgments that you've made. Have I made the best judgments? Have I made the best decisions? Learning from the past as I move forward, maybe there's a lesson there. Maybe I made a bad judgment on something that next time that opportunity comes out, I won't handle the same way. It's an assessment card for me. It's assessing, reflecting on where you've been in this fool's journey. And finally, the World card. It's the end and it's the new beginning. We dance out into the world, full of joy and full of things we've learned. We've got 2 wands. You might call them drumsticks. You know, we're sort of marching to the beat of our own drum, having a great time, and the zero, like a circle or a cycle, begins again. So, we've completed the fool's journey. We've learned our lessons, hopefully. And then we go round again and see what we can learn the next time round. So that for me is the world card. And I have a meeting I'm going to that I need to be at in an hour. And I am now going out into the world with all the things I've learned, and hopefully in order to learn more. So if this is your first encounter with tarot, might be a little bit different than other decks, but it's basically the same. Most tarot decks have the same messages in the major arcana. And again, they are like questions, messages, reminders. It's the best friend and counselor that I have on a day-to-day basis. I carry it with me everywhere in my bag. Whenever I'm uncertain, I'll give it a shuffle. I'll have a look. If I'm full of anxiety, I'll have a look. It calms me down. It slows me down, makes me go inward, talk to myself, think about things, figure things out. Sometimes I don't have direction. It'll help provide me a direction. It might not have been where I wanted to go or thought I wanted to go, but it helps me by suggesting to try that new direction. I want to thank you all for joining me. I hopefully will be back next Saturday. This has kind of turned into a thing, live Saturdays at 12:05 for me. And I hope that you will find from watching this that tarot is not too woo for you. I mean, many people can use this for many things, and some go all woo and psychic and magic-y and cosmic, but it can be as simple as confronting yourself with questions and messages to deal with on a psychological level. So again, I'm going to go back to what I said before. I wish you to go through life with an open face, an open mind, an open heart, and a sense of awe. And I will see you all next time. Thank you, and bye.